Good morning and happy Labor Day weekend, Rick.
Happy Labor Day weekend to you, Mark, and to everybody else. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. This is welcome to the Cafe B. Grab a scone, get your favorite cup of free range coffee, and let's do it. We'll get to the Labor Day thing later in the podcast, but my friends Sean and Jerry are coming over. We're heading to the house at 10 o'clock. Going to be a nice weekend out there.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
enjoy.
Absolutely.
Usually you show off your coffee cup, but you're not this morning. What are you drinking?
Well, it says Nova Scotia because Frank and I went on my favorite cruise to date. One of them certainly was a cruise to Maine. It went to Maine in Canada, and I just loved it. It was really nice, and it was cool weather. They only do it in the falls because people want to see the leaves changing colors.
It's so beautiful, and they found that blue lobster up there, 1 in 2 million. You saw that? That was up in Maine this week. But I didn't think you were drinking coffee. I thought you were drinking a juice or something. I saw it in your other.
Well, I do have. I have. Because for vocal stuff, I have this because coffee really doesn't quench your thirst, or, if I get scratchy, and if I look like I'm embracing this microphone, it's because we were talking in the green room about these audio problems that we've had forever, where I sound really low, and you're really loud,
and I sound like this.
And you're really loud, and Frank always mentions it to me, but for the life of me, I cannot figure out what the problem is. So I took the auto adjust off of the volume, so maybe I'm going to be really loud. But a friend of mine who does professional voiceover, he's very successful. He said proximity is crucial. So I am going to, for here on in, I will
look like you're eating your microphone. They say that when you're a singer.
You don't want to. This is a great microphone. It's very expensive, but it's not omnidirectional. So if I turn over there.
Oh, Mark, back on the head. Go back.
And then I go.
Oh my God, it is really powerful. That's very cool. Yeah, well, and I am a little loud. I suggested to Mark everyone that perhaps I'm a little too loud. So if I'm a little too loud, hey, I'll try like this. I'll back down a little bit. But I was asking what your drink is. I read a great article last night about things that you think are unhealthy for you that actually help you keep weight off. And saying drink lots of water, although I found that when I drank water, I gained weight. A lot of my friends know that. I was told by my yogi to drink a gallon of water a day for 15 days and it would all come out. Well, none of it came out. So I think everyone's bodies are different. But one of the things I want to note out or shout out about is popcorn is not as bad as y'all think. Just don't put a lot of stuff on it, Mark. Right. They say kind of, it's got good fiber. It's got the ability to fill you up. So any kind of foods like that, like watery foods, peaches, watermelons, because they'll fill you up and they'll keep you full. They'll make you feel full. Nuts, of course, are really great because they have unsaturated fat. People think nuts are bad sometimes. Peanut butter, for instance, it's really not all that bad. And also I want to tell you, spicy foods, because they give you flavor and they enhance things without calories. So
and they make you sweat.
Yeah, and they make you sweat.
Get rid of all that water weight, all that monthly water weight that we gain.
Yeah, that nasty gallon a day that I gained. Thank you, Matthew, so much for your suggestion. Although it wasn't really his fault. He's a super nice guy. But, boy, if I had his body, I wouldn't have to worry about things. But anyway, food for thought. Eat your popcorn at the movie this weekend.
No, I was going to say that stay away from movie popcorn. Take your own popcorn. Do not eat movie popcorn.
Good
ever.
Point. Good point. Correction.
And get your own yogi. Rick has his own yogi. You just said that. I think that's fascinating.
Personal yogi, but he's moving today. He's moving to New Orleans, so.
But he doesn't. He's a yogi. He doesn't have to go anywhere to move. He can just move. Can he levitate?
He's transcendental. Yes, he can levitate. I guess.
Oh! Customers coming in.
Oh, hi everyone. Yeah, where you? New subject.
I hope I'm not horribly loud, but we'll see.
You're fine.
Are we starting now?
Yeah. News. Oh, the cafe just opened.
Well, no.
I was telling you.
This is the warm-up act. We always do a warm-up for the crowd.
And there was, here's what's on the menu today. Yes, Mark, cafe is now open.
And we're going to start with Uzis for Tots.
What?
Uzis for Tots. Like Toys for Tots. Uzis. Mm-hmm. The 9-year-old girl. And
yes.
Yeah, you had to think, like, what's he talking about? Well, I could have said Tommy Guns for Tots for alliteration, but anyways, I like that, actually, Tommy Guns for Tots. So the 9-year-old girl, it's been all over the news worldwide. She goes to her parents, her incredibly talented parents, take her to a shooting range in Arizona where they allow children as young as 8 to fire weapons. And her weapon of choice apparently was an Uzi. Designed for the Israeli army. And anyways, you know what happened. She fires the Uzi, and the recoil shoots up and like puts a hole in her instructor's head, and the guy dies. Wow. Now, it's not funny, but it's certainly tragic. And I don't know. I'm not opposed to gun rights. I'm really not. I'm not one of those liberals who... I do believe in gun restrictions. I think the Constitution allows it, but I'm not a gun hater. But I mean, come on, man! Don't give a 9-year-old a fucking machine gun. I'm trying to not use the F word because you're in respect for your mother. I will keep that to a minimum. But don't give a 9-year-old a machine gun. Like, what kind of parent does that? It's just bizarre to me, and nothing's going to change. I mean, when nothing changed after 20 some odd children were gunned down in Connecticut, Amen. It's not going to change because this instructor, they're just going to say he didn't know what he was doing. He was supposed to stand on this side and do this and that and the other thing. But I just question that, giving your kid a Uzi, it's just sad and tragic, and it's not going to change anything. But America needs to think about these things.
Amen.
I mean, I wanted a motorbike when I was 13 or 12 or whatever. I wanted a little, like a motorbike, and my dad wouldn't give me one.
Well, exactly. And I mean, it's truly gun safety. I grew up in the Northwoods. My niece is shooting guns at whatever age. But it's about gun safety. It's about learning gun safety. We don't have Uzi safety or military safety or, whatever. So I think, bad choice, bad situation, horrible. But you know what? You're right, though. An event like this, you would think it would take notice and people would start talking about it all over again. But back to Sandy Hook and the lack of legislation that actually came out of that situation, just horrible. Jon Stewart, man, he'll take this subject on. He's already taken on a couple of good subjects this week. Back from a vacation, on fire. I'm not a Jon Stewart person. I don't necessarily watch his show because I don't watch TV, and we'll talk about that. I think your next subject, you want to talk a little bit about TV, but I find clips of him, when I'm reading through.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I glance at them every day. I do. I look at the headline. I just don't click on any of them. But I
click on them if they're of interest. We're talking about Huffington Post or any of the aggregators out there. I really should be reading Gannett, USA Today, because kind of pay my paycheck. But one of the things there is he started the week by talking about. Two of his things this week, as he referred to the second one about, I am going to talk about a serious subject. I'm going to talk about a black man in St. Louis. Well, the first one he had on Monday was serious. It was a 10-minute diatribe, very well stated, very bright man. I'm just falling in love with him, as you can hear me getting excited. But they're both on my Facebook page if anyone wants to go there, or you can just find them online, find them on YouTube. And the first one was about racism and whites saying, it's not racism. And so he basically took on clips from Fox News and kind of attacked every one of those clips. And the last one was a white gentleman saying, the only people that talk about race are racists. And of course, it was perfect fodder. So he just stops it and said, who's talking about race, Mr. Racist? It was very, very powerful. And then the one yesterday I saw was great. This whole thing about Michael Sam, which I didn't really want to talk about. I didn't want to give credit to the CNN reporter that wanted to stir the pot and say, well, it's said that Michael won't take his shower till after everyone's out of the locker room. But so-and-so says that perhaps he's just taking an extra bike ride and blah, blah, blah. Well, Stewart went off on it. The good news is Michael will find out today if he's one of the 53 people on the lead roster for the Rams. I mean, he's worked hard to get to where he's at. He's at 70, in the top 75 now. But he has a reporter that's his sports reporter. I've never seen her before. Do you know who I'm talking about? I think her name is Samantha Bee.
Oh, on the Daily Show, yeah.
Yeah. Funny. So she ends up pulling out this book and says, the problem here is that we're being too cautious. She said, heterosexual behavior in a locker room by professional athletes is slapping ass, yanking your penis in front of each other. And she cited comments, from a book called Boys Will Be Boys, where former people talk about their behaviors. As we know, men in locker rooms are just stupid and sexual in some ways, in just a overt Neanderthal way. So it's an interesting situation, and I just want to say I love Jon Stewart. So check those clips out if you haven't seen them, Mark. You may have seen them.
I watched one this morning, so I would be, I was trying to educate myself before we talked.
Did you see the one I'm talking about?
No, I saw one where he was in Ferguson and he was doing a mock ice bucket challenge, and he got sprayed with tear gas or something.
He's crazy. Anyway, check him out, guys. He's funny. He's poignant. He'll make you laugh.
I have a little cat up here who wants to be part of the podcast.
I saw him jump into the picture. Who is that? Is that one I know?
Munchkin. She's really old.
Oh.
We're losing track here.
Munchkin.
By the way, I do want to say on the HuffPost thing. I read the Washington Times and the New York Times, but they have paywalls. You got to pay after so many articles.
So many stories.
And I wanted to read something on the Boston Globe or something. There was some other newspaper. I wanted to read it, and it immediately it was making me register, which I'm not going to do. I'm not paying any more newspapers. But my point is, they are driving people to places like the HuffPost and Salon and Slate because I'm not going to pay all of these people to read their stuff. And it forces people to go to the free sites. It just does.
Yeah, but I will say, little intel, that those discussions are held every day at paid papers that have paywalls. And I think you're going to see that change because they know the threat of aggregators. But anyway, television, you wanted to take that on.
Oh, the Emmys. Yeah. Most exciting Emmys I ever slept through. I just...
We're impressed, huh?
Yeah, I watched... like the opening, and I wanted to see the Billy Crystal tribute to Robin Williams, but I went to, like after a half an hour. First of all, lots of folks would disagree with me. I thought Seth Meyers was really boring. He's very talented. He's a great writer, comedy writer, but he was really, really, really boring and really safe. I thought Jimmy Kimmel in his little bit was a lot funnier, but I just went to sleep, and I don't know. It's like. The Emmys I'm so over. I'm not a big fan of award shows anyways. Cut it to 2 hours. If they cut it to 2 hours, I would watch. But I know I know this thing's going on for 3 hours. I would love to see Jessica Lange win. That was worth it. But because I've been a fan of hers ever since she did Frances. Anyways, Emmys were totally boring, and even Frank fell asleep, and he likes these award shows, but he said, I'm going to bed.
I'm between you guys because I used to love award shows. Now the only show that I really like is Miss America. It's kind of like an award show, but that makes sense why I'd like it, because I'm gay.
Yes, I got one more comment on the Emmys.
Please.
I'm watching them, and there's Don Cheadle being nominated.
Oh, cool.
For whatever, best whatever. And my point being that I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm wondering if he's wondering, like, why bother? Why the hell am I here? Black people do not win Emmys. I mean... Once in a while, they'll throw him a bone, but Angela Bassett was every bit as good as Kathy Bates in American Horror Story. But I just know when I see one black person and 4 white people, the black person ain't gonna get it, and that's my opinion. They win sometimes, but not very often, and it's kind of like ridiculous. Don't even bother nominating them. I find it just, if I were a black person at the Emmys, I'd find something else to do that night. I really would.
Yeah. You got to find the right Jon Stewart clip because it really does talk about it. It talks about the challenges black people face, not just every year in their life, but every day in their life. It's really powerful. I want you to find that clip because it ties in with what you're saying. It's like some days you go, why bother? Fuck y'all. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, your mom's not.
I know, my mom. That was last week reference, guys, at the cafe. My mom happened to stop by for a visit, and Mark dropped the F-bomb.
She heard me being myself, which is...
She did. I was going to have a surprise visitor today, and thank God I didn't tell you. Because I was going to make it a surprise, but Mary Toma... a friend of mine was coming by. We're going to the farmer's market in a minute. But anyway, ding, ding, ding. So speaking of, I was going to put it in the context of a black versus white thing, but it's not. It's truly a Democrat versus Republican thing. There's a gentleman, a CBS correspondent, that actually last week Mark and I were talking about golfing and the president being gone when the whole crisis happened with the beheading of our journalist. Or that was maybe 2 weeks ago, but I think we commented on it last week. But there is a guy for CBS that actually tracks vacation days because we all know, we as people and the press like to go off on how many golf days our presidents take and how many vacation days they take. But if you want to get right down to it, here's the deal. He's got the tally. As of the day the president made his speech and was on vacation about the beheading of our journalist, Obama only had like 140 days in his 2 terms so far of vacation, whereas at that equal period of time, George Bush II had 383 days. So there you go. Wow. The Republicans like to golf more. Yes. And when you get all done with it, by the end of his 2 terms, apparently Bush had like 550 days. Reagan had 383 days. Clinton had 150 days. So go figure. Yeah, I know it's kind of interesting proportionally. But, Mark, when you get right down to it, I mean, really, do you really think a U.S. president ever has a vacation day or ever doesn't get distracted on the golf course? I mean, please, does it really matter? They're working every day.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just people's people's perceptions and all of this stuff. And I understand the arguments for both. We don't have time. I'm not crazy about Obama right now. But, yeah, I know. He can. But also, I've said this the last time. Golf, a lot of people see golf as an elitist leisure activity.
Right.
Like Bush was out there with a chainsaw and a ATV, all-terrain vehicle and all this crap. Obama's just lanking across the golf course.
I know, Mark, but they did say I read a story, too, about taking vacation days is good for the brain because you're constantly thinking and rejuvenating.
Tell it to my boss. Tell it to my boss, man. I only get 2 weeks a year. It's
Talk
pathetic.
to the hand, but I know, I hear you there, but you need your vacation days, and we all need to rejuvenate. But I was thinking yesterday was a hard day at work, and I got in my car. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so glad to be home. This was so stressful, and I stopped, and I'm like, can you imagine being the president of the United States and what your workday feels like? So anyway,
terrible.
That's my story. Sticking to it.
We're at the 16-minute mark. Do you have another one? I have one. I have another.
I'm done. It's yours.
Oh, okay.
You're up. End of story. Labor Day.
Labor Day, folks. It's Labor Day. Frank always finds it sad because he experiences it as the end of summer, and of course, this summer's been amazing in New York City. Fabulous. It's been so cool. Normally, I hate summers in New York. I don't want to live here, and I'm glad when the summer's over. But anyways, to Frank, it's ending this weekend. My point being, why do we still have a Labor Day? Labor is so hated by so many people. I personally see both sides of it. I think we have a 5-day work week because labor has done a lot for this country, but the conservatives and Republicans have been very successful in making labor a dirty word. So I do want to remember labor on Labor Day. It doesn't mean I'm still gonna treat it like a cookout day because everybody else does. But I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. But
you are. It's funny that it's historically we celebrate it, but what is the relevance of it? I guess.
Well, no, I mean if the government hates it and people hate it, get rid of it. But I bet you they won't do that. They don't want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of labor, but they're not going to get rid of Labor Day.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would Walker do with it? I don't know.
Well, he's hopefully going down the tubes.
Way fast, losing to a Republican for his gubernatorial. Oh my gosh, I've offended my mother again. I better just shut up. Anyway, but I like Frank's perspective. He doesn't need to be melancholy. I hope he hears me, or he will hear me later. He'll hear me loud and clear. But it is a passage of time, and I think that's what's there. Memorial Day and Labor Day are always passage of times for me, and they're kind of nice benchmarks. But fall can be beautiful.
I love the fall.
Take a cruise. Go to Maine.
So you go to the farmer's market. We're going out to the Jersey countryside. We're going to have a great weekend, and we will be back next week in the cafe.
We will. Thank you.
Fully staffed. We're getting some new coffee, new shipment of coffee.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be open on Sundays next week.
Secret blend. Yeah, so, we're going to open up on Sunday next week.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Bye, all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us at the Cafe B.
At the Cafe B, where being is believing.